Sharp Game here, coming at you with another episode from ChooseYourRelationships.com, off of Love Can't Wait, which you can find at Amazon.com. And today I'm gonna talk about single mothers that manipulate men. You gotta be aware of these types of women. And I've had a lot of experience when I was in my 20s meeting a lot of single women with 2 or more kids. When I was in my 20s, especially early 20s, and I got stories for days that I can tell. And I should have included a chapter in my book about this, but I didn't go into specifics of what happened. But, a lot of single mothers somehow have learned how to take advantage of almost anything you could imagine within American society. And they've probably learned it through other women, or learning from their mothers, or learning through their peers. But they manipulate guys all the time. And a lot of women that I've met, most of them were divorced, and you got some of them just never been married, and they might have they have kids, and a lot of them, you have to be aware that they'll tell you one thing to kind of manipulate the situation between you and the father of her kids. Now, she'll try to make it seem like he's such a bad guy. He doesn't spend enough time with the kids. He doesn't give her any money to take care of them financially. She'll go on and on. But at the same time, I'm looking at her like, well, it has to be something good about him. Besides, you had 3 kids with him, and y'all been together for 10, 15, 20 years. So, you don't even know this guy, but she's telling you all these stories about him, and you might be sitting there thinking that, hey, I don't even like this guy, but you don't even know him. And a lot of these women do this. They'll kind of use sob stories to kind of have you thinking that they're somehow innocent. And in most situations, that's not the case. Because you have to understand, there's always at least 2 sides to the story. And a lot of times, she'll make it seem like she don't have anything to do with her ex or the father of her kids. And a lot of times, that's not the case either. A lot of times, they'll be in and out of relationships for probably years. And every time she gets mad or upset with him, she'll kick him out. Then she'll look to date other guys only because she don't want to get busted. She doesn't want him to know that she's having other guys around. And this happens a lot because a lot of guys don't like other guys around their kids. So she doesn't want her kid's father to find that out. Period. So that's one of the fears that she has. So what she'll do, she'll just kick him out and keep her distance away from him. So this will never happen. Because every once in a while, he's still hitting it. He's still smashing. They still get down. Even though she makes him seem like he's like the worstest guy in the world. You know. But another thing you have to understand is women do the choosing. Women choose the guys that they want to be with. Now, a guy might make an offer. He might say, hey, he might sell her a dream. But in the end, women choose to be with these guys, regardless of what they say. Now, if the guy wants to get married to her, well, that's usually a mutual thing. That's usually a guy might have a little bit more muscle, a little bit more say so. But for the most part, when it comes to just being in a relationship with a woman, women do the choosing. Because trust me, there's probably more than enough guys she could have choose versus being with him. And a lot of times, a lot of these women that have kids that's probably divorced or probably just never been married, but she probably had 2-3 kids with 2 different guys, or maybe 3 different guys. A lot of these women choose to be with certain types of guys because what happens is they really want the beta guys. They really want a guy that they can manipulate and then that they can calculate his every move. They really don't. A lot of these women, even though they might not say so, they really don't want an alpha male. They really don't want the guy that's on stage, that's motivating people to do better, that's creating jobs for people, that's ambitious, entrepreneur. A lot of these women really don't want these type of guys. Now, they might smash and they might like being around them, but they don't really want to settle with them because she knows that she's not, probably more than likely, she's not going to be able to manipulate him because he has too much going on. He really don't have time for all of that stuff, all the drama she got going on. And she knows that she's going to have to step her game up. She's going to have to be on her P's and Q's with the alpha male. But the beta male, which is most guys that you see on television, these guys that's on the news, ESPN, these talk shows, she likes these guys because these guys, number one, they believe in the status quo. And these guys don't have a lot of respect for themselves. And they tend to go above and beyond the call of duty to please these women and disrespect themselves all at the same time. And these are the guys that most of these women have kids with and who they settle down with. Because in the eyes of most of these women, an alpha male is seen as a guy that's abusive, that talks down to women, that has a lot of drama going on, that that has legal problems. And most women's eyes, that's the alpha male. That's their perception. That's their perspective of an alpha male. So if you're a simple guy that just like to have a good time, have fun, travel the world, and do some fly shit, she really don't want a guy like that. She'll spend time around a guy like that. She'll learn from a guy like that. But she probably won't take a guy like that very seriously over a long period of time. More than likely, that type of guy will be a short-term relationship, short-term deal. So a lot of these single mothers they're very good, man, I have to say. And I've learned some of my greatest lessons in relationships from a lot of single mothers. And this is something that you're not going to hear anybody talk about this, because in the mainstream media, women don't really have to, for the most part, they really don't have to be accountable for their actions, because the system is rigged. It's set up to be pretty much biased or give women the benefit of the doubt over men. And you never really hear anybody in the mainstream media talk about women. They'll talk about a guy quick, but they don't really go in the deep details about what happens behind the scenes with a lot of single mothers. And the reason why that is because there's profit in that. And if you don't believe it, go down to your local courthouse in your town or in your city 5 days a week. The district attorneys and the judges are cashing out. They laughing all the way to the bank. And it's a $50 billion
business annually. That's how much money they're making off of males in this country. Mainly black males, blacks and Latinos. I mean, they're cashing in. And these white women are coming up. The white women, white women have a unfair competitive advantage versus other women. Because white women, they get the big fish. They get the athletes, the entertainers, the guys, the CEOs of these tech companies, and white women get the big fish. And the rest of the women get the leftover crumbs. And that's how the system's set up that way. And it's rigged. The system is rigged. So I would highly recommend you not to get too involved with single mothers. And the reason why I say that, because it's if you're inexperienced, if you're in your 20s, your early 20s especially, you're probably going to get taken advantage of, more than likely. And you don't have enough experience being in your early 20s. Now, you probably going to do what you're going to do regardless. But it could go bad, and very quickly. And because a lot of women like to use their kid's father as kind of as leverage. You know, they'll tell you some stuff that more than likely is not true. But they do that in such a way, a lot of them have to feel like they have to use leverage, because they're not that confident within themselves. Plus, a lot of these women are looking for help, financial assistance. So, I mean, if you get seriously involved with her, and God knows, don't get her pregnant, that's a ready-made family right there. And can you really afford to take care of 2, 3 kids in the early 20s? And, I have a friend that got married to an older woman. She had 3 kids when they met. Now they got married. Now that's 4 kids in the household. And her kids were young, less than 10 years old, all of the kids. So that's 4 kids in the household. He's 32 and she's 41. And now he's calling me talking about how he's struggling and need to make extra money. So this is what happens. Older women know what to say, how to say it, and when to say it, because they've met a lot of guys, more than likely, and they have a lot of experience, and maybe their mothers or somebody taught them to be that way. So you're at a disadvantage if you're in your 20s talking to single mothers. This is why a lot of guys don't talk to women with kids, because there's a lot of bullshit that can happen. And a lot of guys just don't want to be involved in that. They don't even want to take the risk. They don't even want to take the chance at all. They just said, forget it. I don't even, I just, hell with it. I just go find a single girl with no kids. Which is not a bad idea. That's a good idea. Especially if you don't have any kids. And another thing you have to be aware of, if she has more than one kid for 2 or 3 different guys, that's a sign of being irresponsible. Because, okay, if you had one kid and you single, never been married, okay, we give you a pass for that. You live and learn. But if you had another kid with a different guy, come on, give me a break. I mean, what are you doing? Now, if you were married and you had kids with the same guy, that's cool in the game. But if she's single and got multiple fathers for the kids, that's a red flag. That's being very irresponsible. So I recommend you just go get a single girl with no kids. You'll be much better off. So if you like what you heard and you want to get some extra help, if you want to take your game to the next level, if you want to stop worrying about chasing single mothers and actually find women that would appreciate you, that like being around you, and you won't, and if you're sick and tired of trying to figure out if she's into you, or if you have situations where you can't really figure out what's going on, or maybe you get nervous, or etc., click the link below this video and put in your name and your email address, and I'm going to send you email within 24 to 48 hours for the next couple of weeks, every other day, And this information you're not going to ever find anywhere else but in your inbox. So until next time, Sharp Game is out. Peace.